Hello, everybody. My name is Sol. I'm a geek and I'm Hispanic, and I'm here joined with.
My name is Jonathan. I'm excited to be here.
So, today we'll be talking about the new Disney film, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. Yay. So, when did you watch this film?
I went to see it Sunday night.
Okay, and I watched, I think it was Saturday, so our memory is still fresh, I would think. So, what
hmm
was your first impression of this film?
I was kind of disappointed.
I mean, but
I
did you go with high expectations though, or?
My expectations had been knocked down quite a bit from the reviews I had been hearing.
Mm-hmm.
I had had higher expectations up until that point because,
Right.
like, I know people hate it, but I loved Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of expecting this to be like along the same lines, like very similar to that.
Right.
And I mean, it sort of was, but it also really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to kind of figure out exactly what, I don't know, went wrong or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just,
Oh,
it
I
wasn't
know
what I
what
thought
went
it was
wrong.
going to be. It was kind of boring, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's my biggest criticism is I just was kind of bored through the whole thing. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. And
Mm-hmm.
like I did like a lot of the visuals, but there wasn't even enough of that to
To
redeem it.
compensate. Yeah. Okay, so for me, first impressions before we start talking details is just I went with low expectations. I have seen the reviews like Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't like usually following because sometimes
hmm
totally wrong. But I heard IMDb and all these other YouTubers I watch are like, this is terrible. And I already had very low expectations from what I've seen on the trailer. So I was like, and I went there, and it's funny because the first 10 minutes of the film was like, oh, actually, this is not so bad. It's kind of entertaining. I'm kind of liking the twist. And then, like, literally 15 minutes after, I'm like, oh, no. No, 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 no. So I remember, like, I was rating, and I was like, the first, like, 50 minutes, I was like, okay, this is like a 7 out of 10 so far. And then by the end of the movie, I literally was like, this is like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Kind of crazy. So, okay, let's kind of start talking specifics. First, I want to talk about you mentioned it briefly, the visuals. For me, as the movie started and we see that CGI moment of the town, in Christmas time, I feel that looks so fake, like very,
I
like,
thought the same thing. There was just something off about it.
right?
I
It
couldn't
just,
figure out what was going on. It just seemed off. It was weird.
it looked like an animated film. Like if you were gonna watch like a Barbie movie or something like that. Like,
I remember. It reminded me of what is the train movie? The
oh my
Christmas.
gosh, the Polar Express.
Yes, it reminded me of that.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you.
And I'm not a fan of that movie.
No, so that says a lot. That was the first warning. Okay, so then we get to this party and it's very pretty, whatever. I like what they did visually. But then when she gets to the string situation, I feel like when she gets to that like tree thing, it looked very like Stranger Things, the upside down for me. It's like, this is not magical. It's kind of creepy. But it's strange for me because this film tried to be creepy at times, but then super charming at times. It was very confusing. It's like, which one are you gonna pick, you know?
hmm
And I think,
Yeah, the it didn't do it didn't in either direction, I don't think. It
mhm,
didn't get creepy enough and it didn't get charming enough.
yeah, I was, I heard someone talk about this. Like, it seems like they didn't know what the audience was gonna be because at times it felt like just for kids, and then at times it felt very creepy. Like when they get to the amusement world, like with all the rats and like things get very like creepy, and it's like I feel like this might be a bit scary for kids, but then like the rest is very kid-like. So it's like there wasn't a clear audience for this. I feel like it was very strange, in my opinion, in that
Mhm.
sense. Another thing
Yeah,
about.
I liked what they were trying to do,
Hmm.
but I liked what they were trying to do with the creepiness, and I
Right.
did like moments of that,
Hmm.
but it never went anywhere. It just sort of happened and then it was over and it wasn't enough. Like I really liked the Mouse King. like all the mice swarming together to make the giant mouse. I liked that, but it was hardly in the movie.
Yeah.
And I liked the giant automaton of Mother Ginger, but
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't in the movie very long. And I liked all the creepy clowns, but they didn't do a whole lot except bounce around for a while.
Well, for me, it's funny because we were talking about the Alice in Wonderland thing, and it's like I personally really dislike that. No, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it's not a style I'm
Mhm.
into. But I'm not saying it's bad. It's just personally I don't like it. But in this one, when they got to the amusement section, I was like, like it was done well, but like literally as soon as they walked in and I saw all the mushrooms, I was like, is this Alice in Wonderland? Like this was just too similar to me at times to
It
that
felt like it
scene.
was trying to do it felt like it was trying to be Alice in Wonderland,
Yeah,
but it didn't quite get there.
right.
Like it
I
didn't
agree.
do enough. It was like it was imaginative, but it wasn't as imaginative as Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it was like a like a cheap knockoff of Alice in Wonderland. And
For
for
sure.
people that already didn't like Alice in Wonderland, I really don't think they're gonna like this.
Me. uh, so we're talking about the visuals and everything like that. I found it so crazy that you have these four realms and you literally explore the other three in like 2 seconds. Like you know how they do the little tour and it's just like we're in the candy one, we are in the blah 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 one. It's like literally 2 frames. And I'm like, excuse me, like why are we spending time on the non-interesting realms and not in these other ones that are so interesting? I was just surprised by that. I thought that was a missed opportunity to use those beautiful
That was
visuals.
another thing that I felt like when I was watching it, like you would see something really interesting and the camera would just never stay there. Like there was one moment where I think it was in the amusement world.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a bunch of stuff going on, but the camera was like cutting here and there and cutting all over the place. And I was like, I want to see what's happening. I want to see this world because, like, the reason I like Alice in Wonderland is because of the imaginative world, and you can see all these crazy, cool things.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it didn't give you a chance to actually appreciate the detail. You could tell there were detail there, but unless you're sitting at home with a pause button, you're not going to be able to see all the design work that went into this world.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the camera work. Like I was gonna talk about this a bit later, but like there's this one scene with the ballerina when she's dancing. I'm gonna talk about that later more. But like, oh my gosh, the camera work was so strange. Like it would cut at like the weirdest moments, and I noticed that too in the amusement scene. So it was a weird directing choice, and I totally agree with that. Like they have this beautiful world, since like they don't let you explore it. Even the party scene, there were so many like many beautiful moments in the Christmas party. It's like I want to see everything, and they're just like, no, we're gonna go quick, 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 quick,
Mhm.
quick. Even from the dancing to everything, it was just very, very disappointing on that. Another thing visually is like everyone was reviewing how this is a spectacle and it was beautiful. And I was like, I've seen way more beautiful films from Disney visually, and
Mhm.
I'm very disappointed in that. I was like, the only reason I'm watching this pretty much is for the visuals, and that disappointed me. And do you remember that scene where she and Clara and the Nutcracker are like hanging out from, it's the climactic scene at the end, and they're both hanging, and she's like about to jump from a rope. The green screen on that was awful. I literally turned around to my boyfriend. I was like, what is happening? That I can literally like tell there's a green screen behind them. It looked so bad. It's the moment when they're like, she's about to jump from the rope thing, and there's a waterfall. It just looked
Mhm. Yeah.
terrible for me.
Yeah. They just there was so many
Yeah.
things that I wanted better, and it wasn't. It was like they made the movie too fast. It was like we got to get this over with. It was like they didn't have it didn't feel like it was somebody's passion project.
Mm, I
Like
agree. Yeah.
like it felt like Disney said, "Oh, we want to make a Nutcracker," and then hired somebody to do a Nutcracker. And it was like they're doing it for a paycheck
Mhm.
and not because they really wanted to do the Nutcracker. I think if somebody had like had a vision and was like there because they love the Nutcracker and they want to make this amazing movie, I think
Mhm.
that would have helped. But it just felt like people were doing it because they were getting paid to do it.
Yeah, for me it was like, let's make the Nutcracker edgy. Let's like make changes that are like not necessary. Yes, kids are gonna love that. And it's like, No. So I didn't ask you this. This should have been one of the first things I asked you. But like, how are you familiar with the original Nutcracker story? Have you seen the ballet? Any other versions you like in particular?
I remember seeing a version when I was a kid. Somebody let us borrow a VHS tape,
Mm-hmm.
but I was probably like somewhere between 6 and 8,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really remember a whole lot of it. And I think I probably saw there might have been a PBS version a couple years later, but again, I was a kid, and it's been so long, so I don't remember a whole lot about it. The main thing that I know about the Nutcracker is the music, because I've heard the music so much. And like
Mm-hmm.
I love Fantasia, so I'm very familiar with the Nutcracker music that's in Fantasia. So that's my main familiarity with the Nutcracker is the music.
But did you sort of knew like the basic story, like when you came and see this, or not really?
I knew that it was about a girl who got a gift from her godfather, and she
Mm-hmm.
went to a place where there was a nutcracker and a rat. Like that, I guess maybe it was a mouse. I thought it was a rat, but maybe I was
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay. Well, for me, okay, let's talk now that you mentioned the music. Because again, everyone who knows the Nutcracker, the music is iconic, beautiful. Even
Hmm.
if you don't understand the story, which let's be honest, most people who watch the ballet don't even know what's happening, but it's just like the music is so beautiful. And
Hmm.
they just missed it here. Like it only shows up twice in the beginning of the party, and it literally lasts like 5 seconds, it feels like. And then I did appreciate what they did with the music box, but like it was so quiet and like not epic that it just was very underwhelming for me. What did you feel about the music?
I loved the music when it was there,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't. Yeah, like you said, there was only a couple places where it was like really there, and the rest it was sort of like woven into the background, and it didn't stand out too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I the music was good, and it
Right.
was great when the Nutcracker was like fully realized,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of forgettable the rest of the time.
Oh, for sure. For me, it was like, did you stay till the end credits by any
Yes,
chance?
actually, the end credits was my favorite part.
Right.
The
Thank
ballet.
you. I know. That's what I wish the movie had been like. Like I
Yeah.
like how the ballerina is dancing. It's very magical, and you see snow, and it's very like mystical, and like this. The lighting was perfect. It's like I wish that was the direction of the film. I was talking
Hmm.
with this with my boyfriend. I was like, how epic would have been while they were fighting the Rat King, or well, in this case, the Mother Ginger, if they had music and they were kind of like dancing while they're fighting. That would have been
That
so
would have been amazing.
interesting. That would have been so cool, so interesting, so epic, I feel like. And it's like that was such a big disappointment for me. It's like for me, it's like I'm not a director. How come I can come up with these ideas and not the people who are getting paid? It's very annoying. And like I don't know if you've ever seen it, but growing up, I loved that Barbie Nutcracker version. I haven't seen it in years, and I try to before this video, I try to see some clips of it, and the animation was awful. But they have the main idea so well is that they stay sort of true to the original story, but they do little changes that work. And throughout the film, they're dancing, and like even the last scene, they're dancing, and it's just it makes so much sense. You can tell a story to kids. They will love, they will like the dancing. You don't have to make it edgy and get rid of the dancing for kids to like it, because there's so many big musicals nowadays that have so much dancing. Even if it's ballet, or like, you know
Mhm.
how at the end they have the little like new version of ballet, or like what they did, just modernized dancing. You could have incorporated that too. It's just such a
Yeah.
big miss to not have the music, which is the most popular thing about the show, not be a bigger part of it. It would have been so interesting to have. And also, I mean, we're going to talk about it later, but like it would have been cool to have Clara dancing with the Nutcracker at one point, even if they're not love interests, even just as friends, it would have been cool, you know. It just
Hmm.
it was missing that. What do you think of the dancing and all that?
When the dancing was there, I loved it, but
Yeah.
there wasn't enough. It's like I liked everything they did. There just wasn't enough of anything that they were
I
doing.
completely agree. And when they had this famous ballerina, that I did appreciate that scene where they're explaining how the realms were created. And I don't know the name of the ballerina. I know she's huge. I was reading on this magazine how everything on that scene is made of not CGI, it's like practical effects, which I thought was
Mhm.
really cool. You don't see that often in such a CGI heavy film. It's nice to see some real elements of it, which
Mhm.
I really appreciated. But again, her dancing at times felt underwhelming. Not her dancing, but just the way it was executed. Like, I don't know. I liked it, but I wish we had seen more of that throughout the entire film, for sure.
Yeah, I think better camera work during that scene would have
Yeah,
helped.
for sure. Up next, we're going to talk about the characters. So I cannot believe that the film's called The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, and the Nutcracker is one of the most forgettable characters
Yes,
ever in this film.
exactly. It's very forgettable. Like you, I was watching, I don't know who, if some other reviewer online talking about this movie, and it was like, by the end, they had completely forgotten that this side character was actually the title character.
Literally. Also, something weird is like I kept looking at his like gold thing he had on his lip. I was so mesmerized by it. I think that was the only thing that got it right. I was reading this here and they're saying that it was to make it look like a toy, whatever. I just he was such a bland like I bet the actor is wonderful. It's just the writing that was awful and like there was
Yeah.
so much he could do with it, you know? He should I
I
mean,
think that was the case for pretty much everybody in this movie. I
yeah.
think that they all could have made it so much better. Just
Hmm.
the writing was so
Weak.
dull.
Yeah. And I think that's why many people find this story boring because you have all this action, you have this visual stuff, but it's like but the writing is so bad that that's what it makes it boring, you know?
Hmm.
And I don't know, like how do you because in the original Nutcracker, uh, I'm not sure, at least the Barbie version, Clara and the Nutcracker kind of fall in love, you know? And this was more of a friendship. How do you feel
Hmm.
about that?
I mean, I don't have a problem with that,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just like all their interactions were just kind of bland.
Glenn, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish there was like if there was friendship, it would have been cool. I mean, I know they had the little fight scene that lasted like 2 seconds, but it just didn't feel like the connection. It was, and then
Mhm.
her little like flirty thing that's just like it's an order. It got old fast. It's like you gotta do this.
Mhm.
It's an order thing. It's like it got old fast. Keep talking about the characters. Speaking of her, what do you think of Clara?
She was boring.
I feel like out of all the characters, at least for me, I think she did a good job. It's just the material for me wasn't the best, but I feel
Yeah.
from what she had, she gave a good job.
Yeah. I think she was fine.
Yeah.
And again, the writing, I think it was the problem. I think if the script had been stronger, she would have seemed stronger. It just it felt so
Hmm.
boring. I wanted people with more charisma. Like
Yeah.
a big reason that I like the Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton one, is Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter
Hmm.
because they like chew up the scenery.
Yeah.
Like you when they're on screen, they take over, and there was not really anybody like that in this
No.
movie. Like
Well, speaking
they
of, okay, gonna continue. Sorry.
there were some people who almost got there. And Keira Knightley toward the end
Hmm.
did that a little bit,
Yeah.
but not to the not she was no Red Queen. She was
Hmm.
not Helena Bonham Carter.
You're
She
right.
she was fine, and I did like her a lot better at the end than at the beginning. But
Yeah.
it needed people with more charisma, and there wasn't really anybody. I guess the one of those two weird guards. He was sort of he seemed like he had potential, but he was hardly in the movie. So
I mean, they kind of reminded me. Did you ever see the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? And they
yeah.
had the two guys. That one that was his
Oh
eye
yeah.
would constantly fall. I feel like they were the mediocre version of them. Like
Yeah.
they
That's a good
try
way
to
of
be
putting it.
like the funny kind of psychic, sort of two goofy guys, and I
Uh-huh.
feel like they were flat for me. I didn't
Yeah.
laugh once at them.
I don't know if I did or not. I felt like I liked them, but I don't think they made me laugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned her briefly, Keira Knightley, Sugar Plum Fairy or whatever she is. She she was something. a lot of people a lot of people had a problem with her voice, and it was weird first for me, but then I feel like it fit. It made sense, you know, someone made out of
Mhm.
candy and all that stuff. It made sense for me. I found it kind of strange how like towards the end when she was building the soldier, she was making all this like innuendos. It's like, oh, a man in uniform makes me quiver or something like that. I was like, that's just so weird. Like I was like, what is happening? Like I get it, this is like a joke for adults, and I get it, but it just felt like out of nowhere. Like they just threw it there randomly, and she would just throw those little things like now and then. I feel like she did a good job, and like when she got mad, I liked her. I think it was strange, but I think she took a risk, which I
Hmm.
appreciate as an actor. I'd rather have someone take a risk that might be a bit than having someone being so bland, you know? At least I appreciate that.
With a character like her, I feel like, I mean, not just about her, but I would have liked this movie a lot better if it had been animated. But
Mm-hmm.
for her character especially, I think it would have worked so much better if she were a cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Like
That makes
there
sense.
was so there would have been a lot of potential for this movie to have been an animated classic. I think it could have been a classic if they'd done like strict, not just, I mean, it wouldn't have to be 2D. It could have been 3D and just made everything look a little more cartoony than they did. I mean, it
Wow.
technically, I'm pretty sure that most of the movie is animated, but like to make all like the characters and everybody animated, I think that because that way there wouldn't have been so much weird camera work because the people who are animating would have paid a whole lot more attention to where the cameras were
Yeah.
because it's, I mean, it's so much, I don't know, it's easier to, like, everything is storyboarded. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Everything's
Yeah.
storyboarded when animating. So they're going to stick to something like that rather than filming all over the place and then cutting together and like just animation. It would have made this so much better.
You have, oh my gosh, you like literally blew my mind on that one. That would make so much sense. You know what part was very weird? When Sugar Plum, like, creates this Tin Man people, why did they look more like toys than the other people in
I
like
don't know.
the Nutcracker? That was something that I was like, that makes no sense. Like I know they
Yeah.
mentioned like because they're like hollow or something like that, but I was like, that's not enough explanation for me. I don't know. So I feel like animated that would have been really cool. The only moment that I was like, that was kind of cool, like the way it was directed, I kind of liked it, was when they get into the clock and it shows her how time works, and they go to the party and everything's kind of like
Yeah.
slowed down. That was like probably one of the only moments I was like, nice. I like
Yeah.
that.
I liked that too.
So we're speaking of the characters, right? So did you see it coming, her like character plot twist like Disney's doing all the time now?
I don't think I saw it at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but like halfway through, I kind of started picking up hints that maybe Mother
Mm-hmm.
Ginger was not actually evil.
Yeah.
And I started wondering, well, does that mean that the Sugar Plum Fairy is evil? I was like, they've done so many villain twists. I hope they don't do it again. And then they did it again. And I mean, it was
Ta-da!
fine. It was fine. And I
Yeah.
did like her better as a villain than I did as a nice fairy. But I mean, it was another villain twist. It was like, this is kind of getting old now.
Yeah. I did like the twist, but again, I totally saw it coming halfway, just like you. So let's pick up Mother Ginger, because oh my gosh, this is probably the part that bothered me the most. So, okay. Oh, I'm so mad at this. So you find out that she's somehow good, but they never explain to you how did Sugar Plum Fairy or whatever her name is convince other people that she was bad. Like there were so many like plot holes with her. Like how do
Hmm.
we know she was good? Why was she kicked out of the other three? Why did she pick her? Was there like something weird between her and Sugar that she picked her in particular? There was no explanation whatsoever. And like why did what her phrase Mother Ginger like was so mean to other people coming in, why there was this war, it just made no sense to me, like her whole like reasoning and everything, I didn't even understand much of Sugar Plum's like reason to take over and be mean. But like for me, the thing that bothered me the most is like how 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 did you convince other people to like why did you pick Mother Ginger? It just was very strange to me. How did and like I the moment we all realized that she was good was when Claire's like, yeah, my mom died, and Mother Ginger's like, she died, like all sad. And it's like, okay, she's good, but like I wish we had seen more of like interaction with her mom and understand her relationship. There was no like, explanation. Yeah.
It's just another incidence of they just didn't write it well enough. Like I feel like there was some sort of explanation in there, but it
And they
wasn't
cut
enough
it.
that I actually understood it. I probably
Mhm.
would need to watch it again to figure it out. I don't really want to watch it
But
again.
that's not the idea. You should understand it right away, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It just wasn't written well enough to be able to get it right away.
It just felt like they had recorded a scene to explain that and then they just cut it. And it was like, people
It
will
could
get
be.
it. They don't care about that. Look at our pretty backgrounds. Like, you know?
They
It's
didn't leave the camera on the pretty backgrounds enough for me to look at them enough to be distracted.
exactly. Which and something weird, I was reading the magazine and like it said something here. Let me find the page about Mother Ginger. Oh, a little fun fact that was cool is that her cracks on her face supposed to represent how she was kind of like a porcelain doll that was like all broken. That was a kind of nice detail, I would say. Where you at, Mother Ginger? Well, oh, here she is. Okay, wait, I lost you. Well, the whole point it said, oh, here. Um, no, that's not the page. Well, it said something along the lines that kind of like when Marie, the mom of Clara, brought Mother Ginger in, she felt like an outsider, and that's where all the trouble began. They didn't say that at all in the entire film, so that's why my theory of that they had recorded something with that, and then they just decided to cut it. Because here it
Mhm.
says that the mom, like they never said that when they brought her, she felt like she was an outsider. None of that. Do you recall any of that?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So weird. What other characters should we talk about the realm? Do you want to mention any other in particular? Like the other realm kings, whatever, the Shiver one and then the
They weren't on the screen long enough for me to even care
care.
about them.
Yeah, I feel like
They
they
were
were
just kind of there in the background.
mm-hmm. I feel like there was a lot of exposition in the film. Like when she gets to the realms, which I appreciate explanation, you know, but I felt like most of the film was exposition. And then towards the end, it's like, we're gonna fight. It just was a bit weird, spacing
Mm.
wise. Okay, so we're gonna talk about her like real world people. So we got her family, the sister and the brother. I like them. Fun fact: have you ever seen Pride and Prejudice? Well,
If I
because
have, it's been years.
well, my sister's obsessed with that film, so she has made me seen it like 1,000 times. And I found out that Mr. Darcy is the dad, and I was like, whoa! And all I could hear was Mr. Darcy, but whatever. What did you think of her, the actors playing her family in the movie?
They were fine, but I didn't really like the way the family interactions were written. It seemed like they were
Mm-hmm.
sniping at each other too much. Like
Yeah,
I mean, I get it that their mom recently died and everybody's not happy, but like they annoyed me.
yeah,
Like I want I want there to be like some indication that they actually love each other, and you didn't really get any of that until the very end.
yeah. I totally agree. It was just like a bit awkward and weird. And like, I know watching this, I shouldn't be thinking about this, but I was like, when she gets all sassy to the stores, the dad, I'm like, would in this era in time, would a little girl be able to speak like that to her dad? I was like,
That's probably a good point. I didn't even think of that.
because like nowadays it's super common. You see it on TV shows and everything, but like in that era, like many years ago, I don't think that would have been okay. So that
Yeah,
was something
you
that
got
like
a point.
threw me off. But I was like, whatever. So like people won't care about historical little things, but
Yeah.
it was just my little thing. So I'm gonna like scan through this little magazine and see if I can see any inspiration. Oh, what did you think of the costumes?
The costumes were all great. I liked, like there was so much detail in this movie. They
Mm-hmm.
just didn't linger on anything to let you appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to assume that whatever you're looking at there would make me appreciate everything so much more than the movie did,
Yeah.
because you can actually take your time on a in a book like that.
Yeah. Well, I think her when she wears this dress, I was looking at it closely in the movie, and she wears like this ribbon thing, and for me that looks kind of cheap. But I like the flowiness and the color.
Mhm.
of that one. I like the army outfit. Oh, something that was a bit weird they were mentioning is that the Nutcracker's helmet is actually very different from like, say this is like a normal Nutcracker like hat, and then his was like very different, which I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But see, like, look how beautiful this scenery is, and it's like probably like 1 second on screen. It's like that was a big
Yeah.
thing with this film. It's like they didn't appreciate. It's like right now I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, this is gorgeous. But then when I was watching the film, it's like I can't
Hmm.
tell what's happening. Um,
That's the biggest problem with it. They just don't let you appreciate everything. It's everything moves way too fast.
it's weird because you feel like it kind of goes slow in the
That's
beginning,
true.
but everything
Like
is filmed so fast.
a half an hour into this, I was thinking, how much longer is this going to be? And I'm not usually one who thinks like that. Like
Right.
I usually, there are not many movies that I go to and just feel bored and I want to leave. So
Yeah.
I hate that this is one of those because I was actually looking forward to this movie, but I was
Hmm.
really bored. And
Yeah.
like that is such a weird thing that everything was going way too fast and yet I was still bored and thinking it was taking too long.
Yeah. I do totally agree with you. Like I was saw myself like halfway through the film, it's like how long till this ends? Like what's gonna happen now? Like, and I don't know. Also, something interesting I noticed is like, which I do appreciate in this film, is that how the girl power and all the stuff they're doing. When you see Clara like building the music box, it reminded me a lot of Belle from live action Beauty and the Beast. I don't know if you saw it.
I
It's like,
haven't seen that yet.
well, Belle is like super like, it reminded me a bit too much. Like they both are very like good at like constructing stuff and fixing stuff, which I think it's
Mhm.
awesome because it's a great thing to show women who are smart and like all this stuff. But it just felt so similar to Belle in the sense of constructing stuff. Like she could be smart. I mean, she was smart in physics and all this stuff, other stuff, which I did like.
Mhm.
But the constructing thing reminded me too much of the live action Belle. But whatever, it's fine. I was reading this magazine, and a lot of the actors, a lot of the directors are like, this is gonna become a film that kids will ask their parents to go see every year. It's gonna be like a treat. This is gonna be like a classic or something like that. And I'm like,
I doubt it.
no, I highly, highly doubt it. Like, watch the Barbie Nutcracker. I can tell you that's even more fun. Or actually watch the.
I've heard the Barbie Nutcracker mentioned so many times by people talking about this movie, saying like, "Oh, I guess Barbie Nutcracker is still the best Nutcracker."
Literally, the animation is awful, like terrible, terrible. But like someone remade that into like animation, like nowadays. Oh, it would be iconic. I would spend all my money on that. Yes, 100% love that. But yeah, we're see. This is so sad. The fact that we're talking about a film and I care more about talking about this other one. You know, like that says a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, what is your rating for this film? Do you recommend it? Should you watch this drunk? What do you recommend?
I I don't know because there was so much in here. Like there's so much potential, and I liked
Yeah.
a lot of things about it, but I didn't like it enough that I can like say, "Oh yeah, go see it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I feel like this movie could be better if they would recut it. Like if just somebody go in there, find all the footage, re-edit everything.
Yeah.
Let there be more shots lingering on costumes, on sets, on creatures. Um, but then there's still the weak script, so that the
Yeah.
re-editing isn't going to save everything.
I
I don't
agree.
know. I would probably give it maybe 5 out of 10, and I feel like that's being generous. I don't know.
I totally agree with you. Like I also give a. It's just so annoying because there was so much potential,
Yeah,
so much
stop.
of many things you could do, and that's a frustrating part. Like if you tell me, like the Emoji Movie, I mean, there's not that much you can do with it. But with this, it's such a classic story that you can, yes, you can change it and make it, new, but like they messed it up so much with such a weak script, weak characters that came with the script, of course, bad directing with the cameras. It just felt like a mess. Also, I didn't feel the Christmassy vibes. It was only like the first 10 minutes, but after we got
Mhm.
into the Nutcracker world, didn't feel any Christmassy vibes at all, which would have been
No.
nice because they were promoting this. Well, also something weird. It's like it got released in November, and I mean, you see people already decorating for Christmas, so it's not a terrible release date. But I'm a bit surprised. But aren't they releasing Mary Poppins this December?
Yeah. I feel
Ah,
like
that one's gonna be epic.
they should have swapped the two. Like
You
Mary
think?
Poppins, I think is going to make money regardless because from all indications, all the early reviews I've heard are great.
Yeah.
The trailers look amazing.
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to flop at all.
Yeah.
I feel like the Nutcracker could have benefited from if it was released right before Christmas and then people could go see it on Christmas. Like it would be something that people would do with their families. But now it's like I don't think there was a whole lot of promotion for the movie,
No.
and I feel like it's just gonna do badly because nobody's gonna care. By
Yeah.
Christmas, it's gonna be out of the theater to make way for Mary Poppins and Wreck-It Ralph too. So
For me, it's a bit like I felt bad spending my money on this film because they always tell you if you always feel bad about like a film, don't go support it, you know? And I feel bad after I came out. It's like I spent like $20 with like two people like watching this film. It's like I just want Disney to understand that this is not okay for them to do this kind of films, you know? Like you have to listen to your audience, you have to listen to your fans.
mhm,
And they've been having so many troubles lately with like Star Wars, like not listening to the audience. Just very simple things that could be changed so easily. I just wish they had gone with a different director. I wish they had picked, stayed with more music. Just like you said, the credits was the best part of the film, and that shouldn't
mhm,
be the thing. If the film was like the credits or like very magical and dancing and like it would have been way cooler. Also, we didn't mention Morgan Freeman, but he was good. Not that memorable, it's just there.
yeah.
But whatever. I give this film a 5 out of 10. Super disappointed. Like I already went with low expectations, and usually when I go with low
Mhm.
expectations, I leave was like, oh, that was kind of okay actually. But this one, I left even more angry. I was like, oh no, it was
Mhm.
such an easy, fixable little thing, and it was a pity. It was a
Yeah.
big pity.
I feel like I'm usually a very easy person to please. Like I like a lot of things that people usually don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Alice in Wonderland film is a prime example. That
Right.
and Maleficent. I
Oh, I
like them
love
because
Maleficent.
they look amazing and that's what I love about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the scripts are they're whatever. They're not I don't think they're bad, but
Yeah.
like with stuff like that people think that I'm too easy to please. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm left very disappointed by this Nutcracker movie, the general public probably hates it.
Yeah. And do you think kids will enjoy it?
No, I think they'll be bored.
Yeah, I barely heard any laughing. And there were so many kids on my theater, which they talk so much. I mean, that tells you a lot that we're not entertained. But I
There
heard
might have
like
been one other person in my theater. I was alone.
they barely laugh, like probably like 4 times in the 2 hour film. Like, yikes. It was
I heard more laughter over the trailers before the movie. There was
literally.
like dead silent through the whole film.
Well, I think that's our conclusion. A big disappointment. Disney, get your stuff together. If you're gonna do a
Yeah.
Christmas film, I don't know what to say anymore. So, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about your channel. Where can people find you? Social medias and all that good stuff.
My channel is called iHeart Animation. I focus, as the title says, mostly on animation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recently, like just yesterday, I put out a review of Hilda, which Soul makes an appearance in that.
Hello.
I think we're gonna do another video. She keeps talking about a movie from Netflix called Next Gen, which I haven't seen yet,
Yes.
but she's talked about it so much. I think we're gonna look into that. So maybe in a few days we'll have a review of that as well.
That would
But
be
yeah,
awesome.
I like it, and that's what you'll find if you come to my channel.
Well, thank you so much for coming to my channel.
Yeah, I had fun even though we were kind of disappointed with the movie.
But it's fun sharing our disappointment
Yeah,
and letting people
yeah,
not waste their money.
yeah.
So I'll see you all later and bye.